Hey there, it's Ben, a waterfall guy. So today I'm in the White Lakes Wilderness area, Musquodoboit Harbor area. I'm bushwhacking to this massive granite outcrop.
There's a local legend and author in the outdoors community named Ben Alone, and I first heard of this through him.
This is actually the cliff I want to get to. On the opposite side, it's a straight wall. It's quite massive. Never stop exploring.
He shared these pictures and videos of it, and ever since then, I've just been so captivated by it. I knew that I had to get out there someday, which brings us to our first attempt in January 2024, and probably our least successful attempt.
We were heading out to this big bluff that's way out in the eastern shore wilderness here in Nova Scotia. The logging road that we were taking back here, we came across this just ice hole. It was probably like a foot deep and just full of water and ice. And what kind of car do you have, Scott?
Corolla.
Scott's little Corolla.
Okay, it's not little.
Okay, it's kind of little.
It's a mid-sized sedan.
It's pretty small.
Wow.
We had to adjust our plans a little bit. This is not going to be a Mountains of Nova Scotia video, but it is going to be a winter camping video.
Scott, come on, come here. What do you remember from that trip?
I remember good food.
Oh my gosh!
Good friends.
Pretend you're lighting it.
I can't do that.
Pretend you're lighting it.
All right.
Oh my god, it's working.
And my Corolla almost dying on all these massive rocks and puddles that were deeper than most lakes. Almost made it though. Like there was like only really one unpassable spot. Cut to the film. I get to do that now.
I think we made it about a 20th of the way in, so no, we're that close.
We're not. We weren't.
No.
Close.
Okay,
Felt close because we were. It took so long.
All right, get out.
Okay.
Get out.
Bye.
Getting out there like was so hard. So think about doing that with like all of our packs, and you had like the cast iron fan too. But that's my fault because I was like, yeah, guys, it's like a kilometer in, no issue, easy peasy. Attempt number 2. I got to see this road in its true form, I feel like. If this road was any worse, I don't think your average car could get past. It was just doable.
That's where she's staying. Pretty sketchy from here on out.
I remember finally getting back to the trailhead, starting the hike, and that's when the apprehension and doubt crept in a little bit.
Definitely kind of eerie, kind of creepy vibes out here today.
It was wet, it was dark, it was late in the day, and I hadn't told anyone where I was going. I had no cell connection, I had no GPS, I had no Garmin. I had no way of contacting anybody, and I definitely was not out there alone.
Remember how I said it's black bear country? Check this out. If I had to like draw bear poo by memory, that's what it would look like.
And as I was making my way through the woods, those were the thoughts going through my head. What if something happens to me? I have no way of getting out of this if I break a leg.
Oh no! Absolutely soaked.
That's how you die.
That is how you die. But I pushed on.
This is Round Pond. It kind of marks the end of the trail, and the next couple kilometers are going to be bushwhacking.
From where you parked the car to the cliffs, as the crow flies, it's about 2 kilometers, give or take. The bushwhack, you're gonna land somewhere between 8 and 10K.
Best bet for crossing right there. I'm already soaked. I think I might just walk in the stream, honestly. It might be safer than trying to walk across these slick rocks.
There were these ribbons going through the woods.
Oh.
They were so few and far in between. I wasn't sure where they were taking me, but they kept going in more or less the right direction. But you'd be like on the trail, then you would lose them. Some ribbons were new, some ribbons were old. It was very intriguing to me, so I followed them, but you kept losing them.
I keep thinking I'm off track, and then you see the next one, and it's just such a sigh of relief. Oh. It's kind of fun. I was expecting just to be bushwhacking and just using my GPS to get there, but it's kind of turned into a little bit of a treasure hunt.
I kept pushing on, but the mood as the day progressed did dampen a little bit.
There's no staying dry today.
But even despite that, between the ribbons, between these game trails I would just kind of stumble across, I had these little moments of hope where I was like, I think if I just keep pushing, I might get there. I was out there for almost 2 hours and I was a fraction of the way in. And my fear of almost breaking a leg almost became a reality one too many times.
Holy moly.
Time was not on my side at all, and eventually I did have to make the call.
I'm gonna be totally honest here. I might have to call this one. But the most important thing is that I learn and that I get out of here safely.
There's an expression in mountaineering called summit fever, which is basically the closer you get to a summit, the less likely you are to turn around even when you should. With that in mind, I knew the right call on that day was to come back. The mountain wasn't going anywhere, and hopefully I wasn't going to either. This was actually my first ever trip with my girlfriend, Savea. By the way, side note, Hinge is, I think it's like the best app that exists. This isn't sponsored, don't laugh at me. This isn't sponsored by Hinge, but thank you, Hinge. I love you. I remember this day, this is like the perfect summer day. This is the total opposite of our first two trips. I remember starting that adventure and thinking today's the day. It was too nice. It was too nice to the point where it wasn't nice. I almost got heat stroke almost. But I remember being totally drenched. I like couldn't see through my sweat. I don't know if I ever like sweat that much on a hike. We just had to turn around. Like there's no way that I could do that. This darn place, man, this darn rock. Over a calendar year since our first attempt. Everything seemed to be lining up perfectly for this one. Not too hot, not too cold, no precipitation. It was that perfect window in the spring that's so good for bushwhacking, where there's very little vegetation, very little foliage on the trees. It's easier to see where you're going, less that you have to push through. Everything was going fantastic until we hit the shores of Salmon River.
So the only real downside to bushwhacking this time of year, water levels are really high.
That was kind of the one thing I looked at going into this fourth attempt where I was like, this might be the one big obstacle, is water levels.
I think the least bad spot is up by the tree.
So we spent an hour and a half trying to find the right spot to cross this river. And I remember we kept getting about halfway across, and then the river would just drop off. Like you would think that you found the right spot, but then it would just drop. Deep moving water isn't really something you want to mess around with.
That took so long to find a good spot to cross. I think we spent the last like hour and a half walking the riverbank trying to get across this thing. There's so much deep moving water, you just have to be really careful. But
we finally find the right spot to get across, and we do it. And then we just start the trek.
bushwhacking is honestly a very good lesson in patience.
I had a route that Benoit had taken to get out there saved, and I was cross-referencing that with another GPS, just kind of going based on like landmarks, right? So you had bogs, you had lakes you had to cross, so I was kind of using those to cross-reference our route with his. There were times where it felt like we weren't getting anywhere, but then I would look at the maps and I'd be like, no, we're lining up perfectly with where he was. We're actually making real progress here.
There's a local legend in the outdoors community named Benoit Malone.
who has written many local hiking guides. So many of the places that are going to be featured in my book, I found through him. When I was asking him for help with this bushwhack, a very good piece of advice that he gave me is to basically think of yourself as a little water droplet kind of moving through the terrain. You just kind of want to wind your way through the woods, taking the path of least resistance. So that's my mindset right now. We are all just little water droplets. And then I remember finally getting to the shores of Brooks Lake. The rock was just right there in front of us. It was like the most surreal feeling, right? Like you're thinking about this thing for so long, you've tried it so many times, then all of a sudden it's right there. From there to the summit, it just kind of flew by. Like at that point, there's just no stopping us no matter what. We're actually climbing it now. This is amazing. You know, as you're climbing this, like that's when like the adrenaline kind of starts, right? Like you get so excited. Like this thing may have been Mount Everest in that moment, you know? Like, I remember getting to the summit of this and I just like, it was just the most amazing feeling.
Holy shit. That was hard.
You set out to do this crazy thing. There were so many times where it felt so impossible. But then all of a sudden you're in the middle of the wilderness standing on top of this giant rock. Like, I think that's what I chase in the outdoors, is that feeling. That feeling of I did it. That was hard, but I did it. I think the best way you can grow as a person is by pushing yourself in these scenarios and just going after something again and again and again. And it's just like, it'd be so easy to give up. On every single attempt on this, there have been so many moments where it's like, we should turn around now, right? I think you grow by pushing through that. I think back about my journey getting to the top of this thing, but also just my journey through writing this book. I've done so many crazy things that I just probably never would have wanted to do otherwise. I wouldn't be the same person if I wasn't writing this book. So I wouldn't have, you know, hiked across the Highlands for 5 days in the winter. I never would have done that. No part of me would have like wanted to do that, but then you do it and it's just like, now I wouldn't want to be doing anything else. More than anything, I always tell people like, this book is my thing. I think everyone has to find their thing that's an equivalent of this, because having something that you care about this much, but then also pushes you in this way, it's like, it's the most amazing thing.